Kind of company.
Tonight on Ctv3 News, more rain headed towards Belize. The north is expected to receive several inches of water. We sit down with Nemo Corozal to find out how prepared they are for the hurricane season. Conditions of the New River aggravated by torrential rains. Orange-Kenyans are starting to complain about the smells it is releasing. And Doris Grant is charged for being a member of a gang. She is remanded to prison. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Thursday, June 28, 2024.
El siguiente es un comunicado de St. Francis Xavier Credit Union Limited. Reunión especial. Comunicado a los miembros. Estimados miembros, en conformidad con la sección 61.8 de la Ley de Uniones de Crédito, el registrador de uniones de crédito ha otorgado aprobación al administrador para que se lleve a cabo una reunión especial. Dicha reunión se llevará a cabo el domingo 16 de junio del 2024 a las 10 de la mañana en el auditorio Hugo J. González en el Centro Escolar México Junior College, aldea de San Román en el distrito de Corozal. Todos los miembros están invitados a asistir a la reunión especial, ya que el administrador proporcionará una actualización sobre los asuntos de la unión de crédito. Se requiere que los miembros presenten sus libretas y una identificación válida para registrarse. Los arreglos de transporte se anunciarán en una fecha posterior. Mensaje del administrador St. Francis Xavier Credit Union Limited.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Joanna Rodriguez. The torrential rains being experienced here in the north over the past few days have been welcomed by many. However, the downpour in our country has not been without problems of its own. Aside from the increased cases of floodings in different communities, the condition of the New River seems to have been aggravated by the recent rains. If you happen to pass near the river or even in random places across town, you may have experienced the horrid smell emanating from the river. This issue seems to be an annual situation as the river experiences early periods when it begins to deteriorate. This usually happens in the dry season, and while that was the case this year, the start of the rain season seems to have temporarily made the situation in the river worse. The Department of the Environment, as viewers may be aware, has been engaged in quarterly monitoring in different areas along the length of the river. We have been reaching out to the department to query about this most recent report of deterioration within the waterway, and while their scheduled inspection is expected in the coming days, we were told the last readings taken from the river by DOE personnel was earlier in the month of March in the community of Guinea Grass following a reported fish kill. Those readings, according to DOE, showed dissolved oxygen level at 2.4 at 5 feet depth and 0.9 at 9 feet, which, according to experts, indicates a stressed ecosystem. These decreased levels of dissolved oxygen, in addition to the movement created in the river by recent rains, are most likely to blame for the river's current condition and smell. Our news team will continue to engage with personnel from the Department of the Environment as their quarterly monitoring is upcoming. As you would know, the hurricane season begins on the 1st of June and runs through the 30th of November every year. In Belize, the entity that is charged with disaster mitigation, public preparedness, response, recovery, and reconstruction in Belize is the National Emergency Management Organization. Each district has a coordinator that works with various committees in order to ensure immediate and accurate response. Presently, we are in week 3 of the hurricane season, so we sat down with the Corozal District Coordinator for NEMO, who told us the organization is ready to respond to what is forecasted to be an active hurricane season.
Para el 2024 nosotros tenemos el plan de acción, también tenemos el plan distrito que en nuestras 13 diferentes comitivas, ¿no? Y incluso 2 más que agregaron, que es la comitiva de Special Needs y Maritime. Entonces nosotros estamos preparados, cada mes nos unimos para tener junta, tener plan de acción. Entonces sabemos que este año 2024 va a estar un poquito activo, por supuesto teníamos aquí, ahora mira el cambio de clima. Entonces puedo decir que nosotros nos hemos reunido y al mismo tiempo hemos puesto nuestra parte, ¿no? Hemos tenido junta nacional, de distrito, estamos haciendo diferentes preparaciones. Entonces igualmente también puedo decir llega el tema de los voluntarios en las diferentes aldeas, en cual sí, no 100% hemos tenido esa relación, porque pues hay unos, pues tú sabes cómo va el voluntario, unos pues se mudan, otros pues ya no están, simplemente le interesa ahí, pero estamos trabajando con ellos, ¿no? Entonces con los diferentes chairpersons, la comitiva de la aldea, pero sí estamos en preparación, Elmer.
Ronnie Hernandez says the Corozal NEMO office has been active even before the hurricane season and has made visits to communities to make sure that in the case of flooding, the waterways are clear for free flow.
Por supuesto que sí, hemos visitado las diferentes aldeas, tenemos nuestro comité de infraestructura, que es en este momento el Ministerio de Trabajo, que puedo decir que el Ministry of Works. Por el momento están poniendo culverts, justamente 2 días atrás que había un poquito de lluvia. En Corozal fuimos no muy afectados por la lluvia, por supuesto comienzas a notarte que los terrenos están inundados. Estuve en conversación con unos chairpersons, los alcaldes, en cual estaban justo en el momento instalando con Ministry of Works unos culverts para que el agua pueda pasar, ¿no? Por supuesto también tiene que poner parte de la comunidad que ellos ayuden, ¿no? Que no pueden tirar basura, para que pues ya que está limpio, mantenerlo así. Y por supuesto el gobierno puede poner de su parte, pero también tú como la comunidad, ¿no? Como beliceño también tienes que poner de tu parte para que mantengas tu área limpio y no tirar basura.
But what about the rural communities that are located to the extremities of the district? Hernandez says the Corozal NEMO plan is holistic.
¿Cómo respondemos, yo diría, al coastal community? Que sería Sarteneja, Coparban, Chunosh, Progreso. También tenemos la área de consejo. Tenemos nuestro Village Emergency Committee. Siempre han estado en contacto con nosotros, son voluntarios, están entrenados al Shelter Management, a Relief and Supplies Management Committee. Entonces estas personas ya tenemos la lista, nos contactamos y ellos ya saben qué hacer. Por ejemplo, cuando se tiene que abrir un albergue, ellos están listos para abrirlo. Cuando por supuestamente NEMO declara que puedes abrirlo, entonces nosotros nos comunicamos así. Y también tenemos lo que le llamamos el NEMO Zone Management System. Es un sistema en cual En diferentes aldeas nos damos cuenta que hay unas personas, o sea, por ejemplo, Sartenea tiene un police station y agarramos información juntamente con el Village Emergency Committee, que ellos nos dan información en que tienen radios de comunicación, ¿no? Entonces ese es uno que diría que es un advantage para nosotros.
And for those most vulnerable, including the elderly, an entire committee is tasked to deal with them.
Nuestro Special Needs Committee tiene un plan de acción, como lo hubiera mencionado. Esta persona está encargada de pues, saber qué son los diferentes old folks homes, como dices tú, las personas que no están discapacitados. Estas personas se llevan en un albergue, en el cual nosotros tenemos un albergue aquí en Corozal para ellos. También puedo decir que tenemos puedo mencionar aquí en Corozal que está muy en la costa, entonces ese es un plan de acción que tiene el comité. Por eso te digo, los 15 comitivas que nosotros tenemos, no solo NIMO, tenemos a las 15 comitivas que están responsables de diferentes planes de acción.
For those who have no hurricane preparedness plan as yet, Hernandez had this message.
Lo que le quisiera recomendar, aconsejar a los aldeanos es que, pues, hombre, sabemos que no es la primera vez que ocurre esto en nuestro país. Entonces hay personas, por ejemplo en Corozal tenemos mayormente de los aldeanos que tienen una casa de concreto. Entonces eso nos da más como no estamos como otra situación en otros distritos. Entonces lo único que nos damos cuenta es que hay personas que han construido en una elevación muy baja. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? O tal vez viven cerca de un río, están cerca de la costa. Estas personas mayormente del tiempo ya tienen su plan de acción, su plan familiar que NIMO siempre aconseja y damos al público que pueda preparar. Van con sus familiares, con sus amigos y unos deciden ir al albergue, pero en este caso en Corozal no tantos. Sabemos que la mayoría de las casas, como te digo, están altos, son de concreto, entonces ya sería como un plan del año que siempre han tenido las personas que saben que se inundan. Mi consejo es que si tú sabes que tú vives en una casa de baja elevación, hombre, necesitas salir. Tenemos unos 2 familias que se niegan a salir, entonces sabemos quién son. Al final del día el comité ya tenemos preparado algo para ellos, que cuando ya ven la situación un poquito mal, entonces deciden salir. Y nada más le quiero recordar al público que durante el huracán o una inundación, nuestros oficiales, no para salvar una vida, ponemos a 2 vidas en peligro ahí. Entonces, por eso les aconsejamos que si vives en un área abajo, trata de salir, ponte en un techo donde vas a estar seguro. Hombre, la vida no lo puedes comprar, nuestras pertenencias lo puedes comprar. Si sabes que tus pertenencias se van a mojar, trata de salvarlos.
You can reach NIMO Corozal at telephone number 614-7140. That number is also available for WhatsApp messages. 48-year-old Doris Grant and her 31-year-old common-law husband, Alexander Underwood, were charged today for being members of a gang and were both remanded to prison until July 31st, 2024. The couple, who over the weekend came under fire after an outing in the city, were taken to court this afternoon. They appeared before the court in the presence of their attorney, Raul Gonzalez, where they were read a single charge each of being a member of a gang. Allegations are that the duo belong to the SSG Southside gang. In court, both pleaded not guilty to the charge. However, bail was denied, as under the law, the duo must seek bail in the High Court. Viewers may recall that back in the month of May, Grant was charged with 14 counts of theft, 14 counts of obtaining property by deception, and 12 counts of obtaining money transfer by deception. Allegations are that between periods of January 31st, 2022 to July 2022, Grant stole over $121,000. Her attorney, Dickie Bradley, has indicated that there are no receipts or vouchers to prove that his client received that money. Grant is also being accused of several land frauds in the Mennonite community of Shipyard. A serious collision involving a police pickup truck and a green SUV has left 6 individuals injured near Ladyville Technical High School. The incident occurred shortly before midday today. Emergency responders rushed to the scene where 3 police officers and 3 civilians were found injured. Thankfully, there were no reports of fatalities. All injured persons were transported to the hospital for urgent medical care. Police are investigating the incident. The family and friends of Yemeg Zabani, 17, a student from Independence Village, Stann Creek, is concerned about her whereabouts. Zabani was last seen on Tuesday, June 18, 2024, when she left home. Zabani was last seen wearing yellow t-shirt with the Independence High School logo and black trousers. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is urged to call Crime Stoppers at 922, use the P3 app, or report to the nearest police station. Coming up next, UNHCR celebrates World Refugee Day. Stay tuned.
The Orange Walk Clinical Lab Summer Promotion 2024 is here. Get your summer promotion on glucose, cholesterol, triglyceride, and hemoglobin for only $20. Also fantastic promotions on prostate PSA for only $50. We also have other packages on promotion. We also provide DNA paternity testing. We take this opportunity to inform the general public in the Orange Walk District that we are an approved NHI lab service provider. So for all your NHI lab tests, just visit your NHI medical provider and visit us at the Orange Walk Clinical Laboratory. We take care of all your NHI lab tests. Results are provided the same day. Come visit us on number 20 San Antonio Road, Orange Walk Town. Call for details at 322-0423 or 600-2727. Call 630-1479. Remember, don't wait for symptoms. Check your health today. The Orange Walk Clinical Laboratory.
On Wednesday, we told you about the elderly woman from the community of San Jose Palmar who was stung by Africanized bees in her yard. As we told you previously, the incident happened shortly before 2 while an elderly couple along with another member of their family were inside their home on Balan Street in San Jose Palmar. The elderly woman received the brunt of the attack as she was stung over 100 times. Neighbors intervened and transported her to the local health center in their community, after which she was transported via ambulance to the NRH. Tonight, we understand that the victim remains hospitalized and is being treated for her injuries. The 73-year-old woman, we understand, is hypertensive and diabetic and remains in a stable condition. This incident is not isolated here in the north, as there have been numerous reports in the past of similar attacks, including one in the Corozal district in the month of May, where several residents were attacked while socializing at a public establishment. As a form of precaution, we repeat the advice from personnel from the Ministry of Agriculture for any resident who comes across a hive of these Africanized bees in either yard or any public place.
I advise anybody that see a swarm of bees, don't disturb the bees. The bees is not killer bees, as how they say. The bees does not, it kills, but it doesn't. That's not its job. It's like anybody, the bees will defend its territory and its queen, just like anybody else, right? When you disturb these animals, they will react very violently with dogs, people, anybody, right? However, we notice that residents have bees at their home for a very long time. Like this one is not just right now. This one is for a little while now, because it has the combs and everything. People like to see the bees at their residence, but don't report it on time. And when things like this happen, they report it to us, and we cannot do no miracle. Who to get stung will get stung, and we can't help them.
So this was successfully neutralized.
This is successfully neutralized, yes, ma'am.
So the area is.
In 2019, the past Barrow administration passed into law what is known as the National Liquefied Gas Project Act, and therefore the National Gas Company Limited was born. It then meant that LPG dealers could no longer be in the wholesale business and would have to go down the avenue of retail if they wanted to remain in the business. This caused Gastamza, Western Gas Company, Belize Western Energy Limited, and Southern Choice Butane to join hands and take GOB to court since they felt their constitutional right to property had been breached. In 2022, the High Court ordered GOB to pay off close to $11 million to compensate the companies for damages. But the Quarter of Butane Companies is also looking for the law to be struck out in order for them to resume with the importation of LPG. That matter is now before the Caribbean Court of Justice, says Attorney General Anthony Sylvester.
There was an application for leave to appeal to the CCJ, and that was filed. I do believe that application for leave was granted, and so that matter now proceeds to the Caribbean Court of Justice for further determination on very, very important key constitutional issues interfacing between what we regarded as the right to work, and vis-a-vis the government or a state's right to regulate a particular industry. So these are very, very interesting and also important constitutional matters that the government has submitted to the Caribbean Court of Justice to make a final determination on.
The Ministry of Home Affairs has plans to amend the criminal code, criminalizing the dissemination of photos, videos, and statements that make up part of a criminal investigation. And this is causing uproar in some sectors. There is also the question whether the move is carried out in order to cripple the freedom of the press. The Attorney General's office is in charge of the drafting of the document, and yesterday the AG told the media it will take a balancing act not to infringe in anyone's rights.
As the minister rightly pointed out, there's a balance. There has to be a balancing act as it relates to the exercise of rights. In this case, the media's right to freedom of the press, and also the state's responsibility or obligation to address, in this particular instance, how to deter, how to prohibit, how to restrict the unlawful disclosure of materials which form a part of criminal investigation. The legislation is still in the drafting stages, and so we query, as you've made, Marisol, provides necessary backdrop for the drafting of that. So certainly that will be taken on board in the drafting, which will be conducted by the Attorney General's Ministry. Importantly, how do we balance and ensure that the right of the media is preserved, but also ensure that a victim who's a person who's a victim of a crime, that the evidence which is sought to be gathered, that is not lost, that for whatever reason does not prohibit, does not restrict, does not have the criminal investigation be thwarted. That's an important balance, because so certainly the media has a right to ensure that the freedom of press is preserved, but the victim, of course, has a right to ensure that
Safety.
his or her right to be vindicated as a result of an egregious or grievous offense that may be committed against his or her. And at all times, when drafting legislation, drafters are always mindful of ensuring that that balance is kept. And of course, such a piece of legislation, the members of the public, including media, will have a further opportunity at the when the matter, certainly a piece of legislation like this, I could only imagine will be submitted to committee, and then views of the public, in particular the media, could be submitted and could really engage at that point, no?
But where does the media stand when it comes to the usage of material leaked to them?
I understand, but I'm sure you would understand also from a policy perspective of the government, and in trying to ensure that lawbreakers are held to account, that they could be properly investigated and prosecuted. We don't want, for instance, say there is a statement of a victim, statement of a witness, and we've seen at times that statements of witnesses, they find themselves in the hands of people who ought not to. So somebody gives a statement, and that statement is sent to all and sundry, and the investigation hasn't concluded. That that creates difficulties for the investigator. The witness may not wish to proceed, may not be forthcoming again. Those are things which obviously causes problem for a investigation to be fully completed and fully and have the matter then be someone actually be arrested and be prosecuted. So that aspect, I think, no one will disagree that has to be as well preserved. And so, as you rightly pointed out, it's a balance of ensuring that a victim's rights are vindicated, that the offender is held to account, is prosecuted, and if convicted, sent to prison or properly sentenced. And the media, of course, has a right to ensure that the public, where necessary, ought to be informed of certain things. And so striking the balance is not always easy, but I can assure you that we'll endeavor to ensure that whatever final draft of a legislation that is put forward will seek to ensure that that balance is preserved.
In the case of Minister of Foreign Affairs Francis Fonseca, while he is concerned about the amendment, he says the media will have the opportunity to voice their concerns.
I know we had a discussion about it in cabinet. I raised the issue of the press, freedom of the press, and what impact it would have on the press. And the minister assured me that that he felt comfortable that it would not, and that certainly that there would be an opportunity, if any issues arose in terms of concerns from the press, that he would make an effort to address those issues. So, I'm comfortable with that at this point. But I think it's legitimate for the press to be concerned about that issue. I think it's justified because your job is to ensure that there is accountability, transparency. You want as much information as possible, and that's good for our democracy. So I support that, but at the same time, as I said, I think the minister means well, the ministry means well, and I think if there are any legitimate concerns that you have, the minister will address them in good faith.
The United Nations Refugee Agency reports that there was at least 110 million people globally who had been forcibly displaced and were forced to seek refuge or asylum in another country in 2023. This number increased by 10 million this year. For this reason, the UNHCR found it necessary to commemorate World Refugee Day, which is celebrated each year on June 28. The day aims to raise awareness of the ongoing crisis that has forced millions of people from their homes. Today, a number of events are taking place around the world to recognize World Refugee Day. This year's theme is Solidarity with Refugees.
It's a very important day for the most part, apart from just being more than just symbolic. It's a day that represents the strength and courage of all the people that basically we serve for the most part, which in my case is working with asylum seekers and refugees, being that it is World Refugee Day. So it's a very symbolic day, and it's very important to showcase the day because of this, no?
In Belize, since 2016, the government has an office known as the Refugees Department under the portfolio of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Immigration. The objective of these departments is to provide asylum seekers the needed assistance for them to remain in Belize legally.
Well, so the Refugees Department is a government entity that is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Immigration as well. And so it's a department that focuses on receiving refugee applications, asylum applications. So what the department would usually do is that, firstly, they're based here in Belopan. That's their only office that they currently have. And so they receive applications from individuals who wish to seek asylum in Belize, seeking international protection. So these persons would approach the office, the Refugees Department. They would make a claim saying, well, I left my country, I fled my country because of such and such reasons, and I wish to seek asylum in Belize. And so there is a procedure that they have to undergo, which of course is a very tedious procedure that has to be reviewed after. No? But the Refugees Department is the first contact that the office that they receive the applications, then they will forward it off for further review.
According to the official UN Refugee Convention, a refugee is someone who, owing to a well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion, is outside the country of his nationality and is unable to, or owing to such fear, is unwilling to avail himself of the protection of that country. People who come to a country seeking asylum are referred to as asylum seekers until they are granted refugee status.
Yeah. So it's important to make, of course, that distinction between who regular migrants are and asylum seekers and refugees, of course, because regular migrants are individuals that leave their country willingly to seek jobs, for school, for many different reasons. However, it's when it comes to asylum seekers and refugees, these persons are forced to leave their countries because of violence, persecution, and now we see more so with climate refugees that leave their country because of the shift in because of climate change. No? And so moving on to the processes here in Belize with regards to the Refugees Department, we are seeing that it's becoming very much efficient. The Refugees Department has had a lot of technical support from UNHCR, which is the UN Agency for Refugees in Belize, and so they also have a bigger staff, and their initial process is quite efficient. It's very efficient, and it's not as tedious as it was in the past. In the past, it used to take quite some time, and some cases going up to 5, even 10 years without review. But now we are seeing cases from between 3 to 6 months, and some about 4 months. Individuals have refugee approval. It's very important to note because when these persons are applying, they aren't able to legally work until they get refugee status, which is once they are approved by the final phase, which is an approval basically by the minister for responsibility for refugees. The type of support that we get, that we provide, is different than others. No, like for example, our partners, that is an organization called Health for Progress that provides humanitarian support, food, shelter, and so forth, and we provide the legal support, legal guidance, and the other assistance with their processes. However, the only allowed to register these individuals is the Refugees Department. And so the numbers that have been shared by the Refugees Department is that they would say that they will get about, let's say, calculate about 20 applicants per month. So multiplying that by 12, right? So that would be the figure, but about 20 applicants per month, around that range.
63 Belizean students are embarking on their path to success with the help of the Pathlight Scholarship. On Wednesday, those students gathered at the UWI campus where they received their certificate to commemorate the achievement. This year's recipients hail from various parts of the country, including Belize, Orange Walk, and Cayo districts. The scholarship will provide students with all the materials necessary to complete their studies, as well as guidance to encourage them along the way.
Xander Liva. He is a graduate from Chapel Primary School and will be attending Muffles College in Orange Walk.
The recipients from Orange Walk included Priya Jaden Jacobs, and Azael Reyes from Louisiana Government School, Xander Leiva from Chapel's Primary, Tamia Jones from Solomon's SDA, Philip Lam Jr. and Armelana Centino from La Immaculada RC School, Shiloh Alamia from San Jose Government School, Arisoline Jones, Janicia Novello, and Aliyah Diaz from Trial Farm Government School, Nadir Marin and Alex Castillo from San Francisco RC, Jamir Koff of New Life Presbyterian, and Casey Camara, Guinea Grass Government School. We here at Ctv3 News would like to extend a huge congratulations to all students, especially those from the Orange Walk District, and wish them all the best in their high school studies. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize!
Hey there, smart thinkers. We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right, no speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a lone ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced, full, high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered-up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
I know I can't leave this plan. I can't leave this plan.
Belizeans in the diaspora, specifically those living in Los Angeles, California, will have the possibility of taking part in a land clinic from June 19th to the 22nd. The clinic will be held in LA, and Belizeans will be able to ask about any land issue which they might be experiencing here in Belize, and even apply for a piece of land in Belize. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Francis Fonseca, the land clinic was requested by an organization in LA.
It's being organized by an organization, as I understand it, in LA, not by the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs or by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They, I think, got directly in contact with the Deputy Prime Minister, and he has facilitated their request. So we have, of course, provided whatever support the Deputy Prime Minister and the Prime Minister has asked of us at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But that's as much as we know about it.
Should Belizeans living in the diaspora receive this type of service?
Yeah, I think people differ on this point. I think it's fair. Many Belizeans who live in the U.S. Have expressed an interest in coming home, wanting to return to Belize, wanting to contribute to Belize after their retirement. So I think that's the context in which the Deputy Prime Minister is looking at it. How can we, many of them are saying, well, listen, we want to come back home, but we don't have land, we want to build a Willie house, we don't got land. We have money, we have extra money we've been saving while working here in the US. We have Willie pension. We want to put it back into Belize, but we need land. And so I think that's a legitimate point of view. And I think the Deputy Prime Minister and his team wanted to facilitate that. We want to encourage Belizeans to return home, especially those who have retired with some expertise, who have extra money, who have savings. We want them to come back to Belize and invest in Belize and participate in the growth and development of Belize. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Close to 100 law enforcement officers from within the Belize Police Department have received approval to acquire land from the government of Belize as a token of appreciation from the Ministry of Home Affairs. In a brief ceremony held on Monday, Minister Karim Musa recognized the men and women in uniform for the commitment and dedication to citizen security in their respective communities, particularly as frontline officers during the COVID-19 pandemic.
In 2020, when our administration came into office, it was during a very difficult time, the time of COVID, and our police officers had to carry on special duties during that time. And our administration made a pledge to them at that time that we would ensure that all officers who do not own a piece of land in the country would be receiving a land title. And so today we issued 100 land purchase approval forms for these officers, and this follows two previous cohorts of 100 each.
What they have expressed to me is gratitude, excitement. Anybody that happens to own a piece of the jewel must be excited, must be happy. It gives them a sense of accomplishment.
It is my hope that this piece of our jewel opens more doors for you and your families. Be that having the collateral to build a new house, going back to school, or simply just a place you can with a peace of mind called home.
A release from the government of Belize adds that of the 800 officers who signed up for the initiative back in 2020, 300 have already been assisted and are in the process of becoming first-time landowners. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Friday, June 21st, here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read the text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.